All right, recording, and I'm ready to go live. You ready?
Sure. Yeah, I guess.
Okay. I hit the button.
Hit the button, Frank. Remember that?
That's it. From
Come
what?
on, Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's how they ended them all.
Oh, hit the button, Frank, right.
Most. All right. Well, what's shaking, COVID survivor?
Feeling much better. Pretty much all recovered. Started exercising again.
Nice.
Been walking about 2 miles a day, doing my ring workout. So I actually
Oh,
have
nice.
energy, and sex drive came back, sleeping good. Yeah, feeling much better. Feeling like, I mean, I got a lot of going on right now, and there's a little bit of catch up, from 3 weeks almost being completely dead.
Oh yeah, I mean, imagine.
So I'm a little exhausted from just doing stuff, but feeling good and feeling positive, and like, I feel better than I did before. Like, I honestly feel like I healed some stuff on a internal level. But I
So-
always try to do that.
Yeah, I know. Some COVID shamanism. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Here's how to make the best of it anyway. Like, I'm not saying go get it. Like,
But if you
don't.
do get it, give me a
But if
call.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what the cancer experience was for me. It was
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, my little things where I was the same thing. I was like, all right, well, what am I going to do with it? How am I going to use it? What am I going to
Yeah.
use it as
Your
a way?
shoulder was a big one. Like, to get to the point after the surgery where you were doing all those pull-ups,
Yeah,
that was a fucking threshold, man. That was awesome.
yeah. So
Hey, look what I got. I mean, you already
nice.
know this, but I'm showing it out to
Nice.
everybody else now.
Nice. I got there's 13 copies of it right here.
Dude, you could kill a person with this.
I know. And I could and someone could want to kill me because of it.
Well, that's
Anyway.
that's why Ben wrote it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I do enjoy it when you get a chance. I'm proud of it. I'm proud that it did.
Yeah.
Um
Do you want to open the show here? I forgot to actually do it.
Sure. But are we started? Are we doing the thing? Okay.
Yeah, we can start. Let's start.
Hey everybody. My name is Morgan Lane Bennett, and this guy over here is
Nicholas Rave. Good to see you.
And we are the Living NLP podcast, and we are two guys who know, and dare we say live, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, self-work, change work, self-change work, self-change, and all those things together. And so we just get together and we shoot the shit about it. Little shop talk. Two guys who are pros, advanced, which is kind of nice to say. Now that I look at them, I'm like, yeah, I guess technically I'm an expert.
That's the term I've been embracing is, well, I have an idea for some stuff that I was like, the phrase NLP expert came to mind. And then all this shit was like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. So, but the same thing actually happened to me. Well, so I'll tell you in a second. So we get together and we do the thing where we just talk. We say, we kind of structure around. We got an anecdote of how we use NLP in our lives or our work. We got a quote of how we do stuff in or something we've read that we think applies to the noggin and how to make it a better place to be. And then sometimes we answer questions. So if anybody watching this has a question, feel free to ask it in the comments and we'll answer you. And to get back to the expert thing, or just like, wow, like, it's even for me, because you started years before me. I was like, yeah. So I did a huge online juggling festival last weekend or the weekend before. And at the end of it, we had our meeting about like, well, what was your takeaways from that? And one of my takeaways was that I was like, I feel like I belong here now. Like, I feel like I know enough about this stuff. Like, I've been there doing it 4 years. So I feel like a senior in high school. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I guess I know how things work. I know the terms. I know some people. And like, we've been around. I feel like I don't feel like I'm like, who am I? Like, what am I doing here?
Right.
I'm still not. I'm still usually the worst person in the room, which I don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
But I felt like I belonged. And even just talking about being an NLP expert, it's what I've saturated myself with for the last 8 years, 7 years. And you're probably in 15 or something, right?
17.
Yeah. So At that point, what point are you not an expert? Either stop,
exactly.
either find something else to do that you think you're good at, or realize you're good at it. And this is a model for other people who are good at whatever the heck they're good at, to own it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get help, or you give help.
Imposter syndrome is a very real and present thing for many, many people. One of my heroes and virtual mentors, who I listen to a lot of his stuff, I just love the way he thinks. Adam Savage from Mythbusters talks about imposter syndrome all the time. And like, that dude is so smart and so skilled at so many things. And he's like successful on TV and as an educator. And then he talks about how he will walk into a room full of fucking NASA scientists and be like, what the hell am I doing here? And he's like, it doesn't matter where you go, that part of your brain that's comparing you to other people, that's its job. So it comes down to, at some point, being able to just go, yeah, I know that you're always going to be able to put me in a hierarchy with other people. And you have to be able to like surrender that part and go, yes. And it comes down to results. It comes down to,
also, you can say like, I want to be the one, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
That means I'm hanging out with smarter people than me.
Exactly.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No better way to make yourself into the best version of something that you can be than to surround yourself with everybody who's better than you at it. Yeah.
So yes, long way for us to go while we reach around and pat ourselves on the penis.
Yeah.
But to say we are experts.
Look at me.
So what's been shaking in your NLP world, man?
Well, I had a story. I have an anecdote that I like because I feel like it's got a good takeaway. So I'm working with a new client, referral from someone else, former pop star, like one-hit wonder in the 90s, and opened for a lot of big names. I'm not going to mention them because I think that would could potentially give away something, but open for a lot of names that you would recognize in the 90s and stuff. And then kind of had a meltdown, overwhelmed from the fame and the just like controlling situation and all this, and tasted that kind of success, and then has struggled a lot for the rest of her life. And I started really slow, really small. I mean, I planted a lot of seeds, did a lot of conversational hypnosis. And I as with you, I'm sure I always start with people what do you want? Where do you want to go? What's the point here? What's something big enough that you want, and to like wake up the wanter inside? Because most people have like put that thing to sleep.
Wake up the wanter.
Yeah, it's like learning how to dream again. And it's scary for people who have given up on this dream and then this one and then this one. And it's like your world is just shrinking from all the things you used to dream that you were going to do one day or experience. And I'm like, well, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And it feels risky and scary to like turn that thing back on, because you don't risk anything if you don't want anything. It feels like you are risking disappointment to actually want and hope and dream. So we started with, what do you want? And then I gave her an exercise, because I noticed this pattern, and I'm sure you see this in almost everyone you work with, like me, which is you ask somebody what they want, and they immediately tell you nothing but what they don't want.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
And so I did hypnosis to kind of install the strategy. And then I said, here's what I want you to do. Here's your homework. Once a day, you can do more than that if you want, but just once a day, I want you to notice a time when you're focusing on something you don't want. And by the way, simplest way to notice that, you're triggered. You're pissed about something. Somebody's upset. You're upset about something. You're upset with someone. You are focusing on what you don't want. Guaranteed. So you ask yourself the very simple question, okay, if that's what I don't want, what do I want then? And I likened this to her with, this is a muscle. It's just like in meditation, how they say the goal of meditation is actually not to maintain single pointed awareness at first. The goal is to try and fail to maintain single pointed awareness and then bring yourself back. And that bringing yourself back to the mantra or the breath or the candle or whatever you're focused on, that is one repetition. It's like one push-up. You brought yourself back and that muscle just got a little bit stronger. You do that for months at a time and you will actually be able to hold one thing in your mind and only that thing for an extended duration. This, I'm reflexively focusing on what I don't want it's like you've got a really strong tricep, which is that critical, judgmental, comparative mind. And that, but you don't even have the other muscle. Like, what do you want? And just asking that question and going over to that other side is a repetition. That's one push-up. That's strengthening that muscle of focusing on what you want.
Yeah.
And it's not that you shouldn't focus on what you don't want at all. That's fine. The critical mind is a useful tool, but most people never leave that side of it at all. They don't even know what they want. They can't even answer the question. Right. You're like, so what do you want? Here's everything I don't want. Yeah. So what do you want? And then they do it again.
Basically, so I can add on to this, but essentially my anecdote was very similar.
Oh, shit.
Which is fine because it's such a common thing.
Totally.
I have a client guy who reached out to me from social media. Dude, I went to high school. I hadn't talked to him in almost 30 years, but he's been seeing stuff. Cool. Hey. I helped him change his way of communication with someone important to him, but mostly to himself. Because like so many of the patterns, it was, I'm not going to express myself honestly, because I want to maintain equilibrium, but therefore I am just numbness and nothingness to others because I'm just, they're like, who are you? And so this person was in a relationship with somebody and they're like, you need to whatever. And they were taking a break because his partner didn't think that they were getting the love or communication that they wanted. And so he reached out to me, and in one session, we sorted that out for him. And one of the things at the beginning of that, as you're well aware, was, so like, what do you want? What kind of communication you want? And it is one of my favorite things to do. I've had to stop smiling when people are telling me bad things because they're like, no, it's fine. Just trust me. Just keep on.
Yes.
Because it's one of the best ways to show somebody what is going on inside of them.
Yeah.
You go, I just asked you what you wanted, and you just told me 5 things you don't want.
Yes.
Go again. And then they do, well, here's what I don't. And then they even start to go, fuck, is that me? Do I really?
Yes.
Yes. You see that's the thing? And then I always go into like, your critical mind is like this, and your other mind, your dream mind, your goal mind is like this, and like you're like, oh, and then so we just have to build this up.
Yes.
And he did well. He had his conversation and all this stuff. He was feeling great, and then something happened, and he didn't use his anchor / resource / inner button that he could feel the way he wanted to control his state. And then he got all upset about it. And then we talked, and he's like, I didn't do the thing. And that's great. He's like, but I go, well, that means you realize that you have a thing you didn't do.
Yeah.
I go, do it right now. He's like, okay. And I see. And I told him the whole thing. It's like, you're retraining. It's a muscle. You're really good at one thing, but not the other thing, because that's what you've done the whole time. And if you can outframe it, like, and you did it for a good reason. You're not a bad person. You didn't say, I want to just be this way. Let's go back to follow that feeling, follow it to the back where you decided, I'm just going to not really express myself because I don't want to upset anybody. And it's better to be neutral than that. And it was nice to be able to do that. And I also liken it to the meditation thing, where it's like, you sit down, you meditate, and it's all just static and noise. And then for maybe like 3 heartbeats, you have a silent thing, and then now you're thinking about the static noise. Why can't I do that more? And then And then all of a sudden it's like maybe for like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 heartbeats, it's like, oh, there it was. And then again, and the purpose of practicing that or thinking something constructive is to just make those times where you're there longer, and the times where you're not there shorter. And you're never going to get them all gone. And especially with people like that, if you take perfection out of the equation, that's what got them there in the first place, isn't it? And one last thing of how to do that, something I don't know if I learned it from you guys early on, because this is like the first video I ever made. It's called One Bad, Three Good. And I don't know if I
think I've seen it. I don't remember.
Yeah, that. It's like the oldest one I made. And it basically says, and because by the way, critical minds, I will put mine against anybody's, of being able to go, this is what's wrong with that. Oh, by the way, Bible, here, have a critical mind, right? Yeah.
You know what? I'll second that.
Oh, thank you. Which is a great place to live, and it's a great talent to have.
Yeah.
But it's not a great place to live. Right. It's a great place to visit and be able to do, but it's not like who I am. It's a skill.
If you can't not do it, that's the problem. I mean, you need to be able to stop doing it.
Punk rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to also. In an effort to help myself out of that and to help other people out of that, my favorite simple thing is to do one bad, three good. For anytime I hear myself saying something bad.
Yeah.
About something. Something. Stop.
Yeah.
And try your darndest.
Yeah.
To say 3 good things about that same thing. And it gets really tricky. I even did it on the 9th because I was like, I need to make sure I'm practicing. I'm waking up doing my gratitude. And I was like, it was Kobe Bryant anniversary day. Right. And in my head, I go, what are 3 good things about Kobe Bryant dying in a helicopter crash? Right.
Yeah.
Which is, some people will be like, that's impossible.
Right.
But, it raised awareness of helicopter safety, made people appreciate their life, and, somebody learned some other lesson of their own. Like,
dude, I had to do what are 3 good things about getting cancer? Like, you can fucking do it, even about horrible shit.
And that is how you work out that muscle.
Yes.
That's how you try and pull your inner debater out and go, well, I'm going to argue for Kobe Bryant dying in a helicopter. Not necessarily that you wanted it to happen, but here's something that can be taken from that could be perceived as good. And even in the thing, I in the video, I'm like, Hitler. What are 3 good things about Hitler? Yeah. It's like, well, he's a snappy dresser. He was a motivational speaker, and he knew what he wanted. You know what I mean? It's like
he made it so no one has that mustache anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But
these are good exercises. I mean, you have the 3 good one bad, 3 good, and what I assigned her actually to close that loop. Sure. What I assigned her that exercise, she came back a week later, and she said, like, just that one thing plus a bunch of conversational hypnosis that I was doing with her in the session. She said it shifted things in ways that she really didn't expect. And she's like, I'm not even sure how this happened, but somehow she ended up in a conversation with her family, with a family member, where she was like, focusing on what I want shifted me from an accusatory, I'm angry with you, here's what you fucked up, here's all the things you've done to me, into what's underneath that anger, which was sadness for her. Nice. Sadness because of what she wants. And she then stated it. And she was like, I had the best conversation with this family member I've had in years.
Nice.
And it was vulnerability, but that vulnerability came from, it's scary to focus on what you want. It feels scarier to let that out there. It's much easier to be like you and all the bad things and keep it away from me.
Right. And it's like, same, if I'm looking at everything negative, I'm going to be looking at everyone in the negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
He had his first real conversation with this person. And, it was new and scary and weird. But it was like, talking about what he wanted instead of denying what he was feeling, and that's scary. And maybe they don't come to the arrangement or agreement that maybe maybe we should break up, or maybe we should something like, but this is at least real, and we're not fighting, putting something together that.
Dude, it's like aiming for the no instead of the maybe, right? And that's another principle in life that so many people waste years and decades in maybe instead of just going, you know what? No is far better than maybe.
Right. Yeah. This is like, would you rather just kind of waste the next year and a half, 2 years figuring this out by having the same fight over and over and over again, or just get real honest from a genuinely caring place? Like, nobody wants anybody to get hurt or anything, but
right.
Hey, this sucks. But does breaking up suck more than being together when we shouldn't be together just because it's too much of a hassle? I did that. I was with someone for probably years longer than I should have been with her, just because it was comfortable, but not quite, but it would have been too much.
Exactly.
But it was such a waste. So,
it's really like we're sort of talking about two categories that you can live your life in. It's like two states at a very high abstract level. And I often think about things in terms of yin and yang, but it's just pleasure and pain, and like one of them is positive oriented. The other one is fear based. It's like opportunity and moving towards, and we're not saying, neither of us are saying there's anything wrong with the critical side. It's just that most people don't even know there is another side. They never go there. They're always stuck in the critical, the negative.
Well, and that's also because the critical mind has chased that other part into a fucking foxhole somewhere where it's like a cave hiding for its life, because the critical part's like, go.
So you and I spend so much time harping on this point of like shift over, but that's because it's so weak in most people. We don't need to strengthen your critical mind. It's fine. It's plenty strong, and it's never going to go away. And you're never going to forget how to do that.
I want your critical mind to know I appreciate it. I'm not going to do anything with it. I want it to stay right there while the rest of you catches up. You know what I mean? Like,
there's another mind, call it, the critical mind and the creative opportunity, whatever mind, call it that. That thing is so disconnected. People they honestly don't even know that it exists, and they have tastes of it.
The creative mind is critical.
God damn it. Okay, I'm transitioning to my quote now. Actually, my quote fits perfectly in with this. I forgot to get one, full disclosure, so I looked it up very quickly. And when I don't know who to think of, and I want to find a quote, Alan Watts is a place I often go. So here's my Alan Watts quote: "By replacing fear of the unknown with curiosity, we open ourselves to an infinite stream of possibilities. We can let fear rule our lives, or we can become childlike with curiosity, pushing our boundaries, leaping out of our comfort zones, and accepting what life puts before us," which I think is kind of another way of saying exactly what we've been talking about.
Yeah. I mean, can't argue with old Alan. Anytime anybody's just like, I need help, I go, listen to Alan Watts. Don't read his biography, but read his books. Couldn't agree more. The guy's super solid. In fact, the client who's coming to drive here a ways to see me, he said, "What do I do on the car ride over?" And I just sent him a shitload of Alan Watts.
Yes. Like, oh my God, that's gonna be perfect. Isn't this person driving like 26 hours?
Yeah. So I gave him. I mean, I have an Audible. You pay one for one Audible. It's like 13 hours of the stuff.
Yes.
But, and there's some stuff on YouTube too. But totally, man. The curiosity thing is also key. So like when someone doesn't know what the hell they're supposed to do with themselves, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
What? I only know what I don't want to do. Okay. Well, again, it goes back to, are you curious about what you don't want? I mean, like, what's the opposite of curious? Bored, I guess. But aren't you bored of being not curious?
I would say fear, like closed. Think about, like, I do think these are two fundamental brain states.
Right.
It's like one is, ooh, moving forward because the world is a safe place and I want to learn. I'm hungry for something. That's what curiosity is. The opposite of that is like, no, I don't want that. The world is a scary place. I want to stay in here. I want to keep what I've got instead of go out and try to find more.
Right.
And
so
yeah,
curiosity is always, I mean, gratitude, it's usually gratitude. Right on top of that comes a nice layer of curiosity.
You know, one of my favorite ones that I've been talking to people about so much, and I feel like this is almost like a chain of anchors because it's a small leap for most people. The one I've been talking about is, well, my quote is, you can't feel annoyed and amused at the same time. And the word, like, I've found that thinking of annoyed.
Sorry, go ahead.
Is your critical mind
I've definitely been amused by how annoyed I've been.
Okay, but no, but my point there is that you're metastating yourself. You're actually getting out of the annoyed to get into the amused, which is fucking alchemy, man. So this idea that you can either be annoyed by something or you can find it amusing. And when you take amused and curious, like, and maybe even throw grateful in there, you want to talk about a resource anchor that puts you in a state where you can fucking do anything, conquer the world. Yeah. That's a powerful combination. Amused, I got that from Timothy Leary. Or more specifically, I got that from Robert Anton Wilson's description of Timothy Leary, where he said that later in his life, Leary had this permanent kind of just twinkle in his eye and a grin on his face. And he was basically crucified by the whole country. Like he became the scapegoat for the whole LSD. The most
dangerous man in the country. Didn't
exactly. And he went to prison and did it with a fucking smile. I mean, that's some next level fucking.
So my quote is from Tim Leary, because I was looking for some stuff to show my client, and he says, "Oh, yeah, he's been listening to that Michael Pollan book, which isn't good."
Oh yeah,
I liked a lot about that book, and something I liked was that his take on Tim Leary was not positive, which it was nice to hear.
Yeah.
A different perspective. I personally love Tim Leary. I've got half a shelf of his books over here, and huge fan of much of what he's done. Not a perfect person by any means, but just a huge fan of what his work is. And so I'm looking to find, because you can find Terence McKenna you can drive a 26-hour drive and only listen to Terence McKenna.
Yeah.
You can drive 26 hours and only listen to Alan Watts.
Yeah.
But it's pretty hard to find lectures by Tim Leary.
Oh,
there's not a lot, and if there are, they're like right before he's going to die.
Yeah, there's very few that I can recall.
So
short clips.
I found one, I actually posted on my Facebook. Him speaking at UCLA in 1967, and him explaining what turn on, tune in, and drop out means. And this is before my favorite part is because it's just audio, and it's like he's sitting there, he's talking, okay, everybody, thank you, welcome to come. I'd like you to know that the substance that I'm about to ingest is colorless, odorless, and tasteless, and it's habit forming and addictive. And everybody starts laughing. I'm like, what's he doing? I'm like, he's drinking water.
He's drinking water.
But in it, he says so many wonderful things. The first half is the lecture, and then there's a Q&A, which I haven't gotten to yet. But it's really amazing the way he talks about religious experiences, like the psychedelic religious experience, the spiritual experience that everybody's having is that's all your life needs to be. And if it's not that, it's not what you're supposed to be doing. On some level, if you're not chasing that bliss or the connection to the universe and love, then you're not doing the thing. So I highly recommend you check that out. Just listen to it.
Yes, definitely. I saw it already on your Facebook, but I hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah, it's worth it, because I was like, oh shit, like there's not a lot of lectures by Tim Leary where he's just saying, this is what I think, and this is how you tune in. This is what dropping out means. And this is, like,
that's
it doesn't
awesome.
mean he was like, and I haven't gotten to the quote yet, but he's saying, drop out. People are like, Tim, do you really think that you should be going to these colleges and universities and telling these kids to drop out? And he's like, I'd like to ask you kids here now, do you realize that a bunch of menopausal old people are they're paying money to the state, and because UCLA and the state is paying these professors and these old people to make you just like them? He says, I don't think anybody over 50 should be allowed to vote. And I was like, I think it's some pretty funny stuff. So
okay, I can appreciate Pollen's perspective on some of those ideas.
But he was kidding about that. But
yeah.
But the actual Tim Leary quote that I'm going to say is from a Terence McKenna audio that I was listening to.
Quoting Tim Leary. Okay.
Yeah, where he says, Tim Leary told me this, and it might have even been in LA back in those days. Tim Leary said, LSD is a substance that causes psychotic behavior. LSD is a substance that can cause psychotic behavior in those who haven't tried
it. I think I've heard that one before. I love that. Dude, that is so true.
Which is, like there's so much fear around the thoughts of, oh my God, and like, why is that illegal? And now finally, 50 years later, they're like, hey, psilocybin's great. We should be like, maybe, like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
45 years ago before whatever came out, some other beta blocker, this and that, so you could have your shit diagnosed and then take this pill for the rest of your life. Or you can eat this mushroom once a year and just sort of, flush your system out.
Yeah. The biggest tragedy is we're missing 50 years of scientific research on how to do this more effectively. But I honestly, man, the more I see what people like Tim Ferriss and all these people who are really supporting psychedelic science as it's growing, like I am more and more embracing the phrase, mushrooms might save the world. And I think that the research that they're doing on is something like 60 to 80% of people who take it one time with severe clinical depression, fucking gone.
Yeah.
Now, you don't just go, just in case anyone's listening, don't just go out and do it. Like the way that they do that includes a whole lot of preparation and setup. It's not take mushrooms and go to a Grateful Dead concert and that'll fucking heal. No, like this is an experience and an ordeal that is transformative. Now, what Morgan and I will also say is you don't need the mushrooms. But people have been trying to get traction on, you can just use your mind for that for a century or more.
Right.
And I really think that because people have this external orientation that they're like, something outside me needs to fix me, that it may be something like psilocybin or DMT or whatever that blows the doors open. And then I know for me personally, my own ability to get better results with hypnosis and going inside was transformed from those experiences. So I think it's synergistic. I don't see it as either or. And I do see that being a solution that might be palatable to a lot more people.
Yeah. And if they can make it, legal. Then there's places where it's Portland or Denver or something like that, where they're decriminalizing that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. The steps, the seeds are being planted.
It's like it grows out of the ground. It grows out of shit. Like what?
Dude,
like,
yeah.
It's illegal. They're basically saying, God did something illegal.
That's one of the reasons why mushrooms in particular to me have kind of a romantic appeal, that it's like, this just grows. That's just it. You just do that and you have a profound experience. Yep. You learn something about your mind and yourself. That quote, the Timothy Leary quote about it causes psychotic behavior in other people. I was thinking, there's a lot of other things that you could put in there instead of LSD too. there are lots of things that cause psychotic behavior in
sure,
people
like hypnosis.
who haven't tried it.
Dude, I forgot. I had a client who might still happen. I started for personal training. She's got a lot of things that she needs to deal with emotionally. And at the same time, she's very religious Christian. And again, while I could write a 400-page diatribe against Christianity, if that's your thing and it works, I don't care. I'll use the hell out of it. And there's like clearly no, she's like, I am very this. And okay, well, I'm not going to touch that either way. Either I'm not going to work with you or we're going to use it, but there's no point in going there.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, so tell me, because we worked on a physical level. I'm like, I can help you on an emotional, spiritual, or emotional, psychological, mental level. Because there's no helping her on a spiritual level because that door is closed. And she goes, okay, well, tell me what kind of stuff is that? Yeah. If you could say, well, what modality do you use? And I go, well, it's talk, conversation, hypnosis. And she's like, oh, whoa. Hypnosis? I go, yeah, well, I'm not into that could be of the devil. And I'm just like, okay.
I grew up in that, man. It'll open you to demonic influence.
Yeah.
That was the phrase.
Yeah. I'm sure all the chanting that you're doing in your group of people worshiping this idol, that's not
trance or hypnosis. What are you talking about?
So, we'll see. She ended up then having to quarantine herself for fucking COVID, but, either I'm going to use her religion to save her life or whatever. But it was just to hear somebody say, someone, she got a house, she pays rent, she's got grown-up kids.
Yeah.
You think hypnosis is from the devil, but like she also believes there's a devil. So I mean, it's like,
yeah. So what was your response? I'm curious your reframe. Yeah.
My response was simple. We're just talking about thoughts. You don't have to even ever use the word hypnosis. I'll never say it again. It won't matter. I'm not going to be taking control of you. You're not going to spill your guts. You're not going to be a zombie. None of this stuff. It's based because I've already done it a lot with her in our physical therapy sessions. Yeah. And she's like, I like the way you talk. When you talk in pictures, I really get it. I'm like, do you know how you said early on that you like the way I talk?
Yeah.
That's because I'm doing it now.
There you go.
It doesn't, you were in control the whole time, right? But I was helping you see things and follow a path because, the same as with pain. There's either the pain of I'm a loser and I don't do anything I try to do, therefore I won't set any goals. And then there's also the pain of my fucking pain, which keeps the pain on my mind and makes me not want to ever do anything. And all I focus on is my pain. Physical pain.
That ties back to our first thing about
right. And they're the same where it's like, well, what do you want to feel? Like, I know you are only used to feeling pain and then determining which level of pain you're in. But like, there were times when I had to go, how do you feel? She's like, I feel fine. I go, do you feel pain? She goes, no. I go, then what do you feel? She goes, I feel good. At which point the tears come because that's a whole like, you have to get somebody when I see a lot of people in chronic pain, physical pain.
Yeah.
And I know what that can do up here.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, how do you feel? How do you really feel? Good. This is what you wanted, right? Because that's the step to the thing. And you got to say, oh, you didn't get here overnight. You're not going to get there overnight, but you feel good. You feel better. And like for some people, it literally just is like, oh my God, I can't I don't know how to not be in pain.
Well, it's even like when you say something like, I'm always in pain, your unconscious hears that as a directive. And it's like, okay, then make sure to delete all instances where we're not in pain. Right. And when we're in pain, point it out so we can validate that belief.
Especially if when I'm in pain, everybody cares about me. And
Yep. Yeah. I was going to say something about, okay, so let's talk about the Christian situation. I wonder.
Talk about the Christian situation.
Yeah, the demonic influence. Like, I wonder if there is something in there for not for anybody who says that, but I'm saying for a good majority. There's a level of maintaining control that is inherent in that it's like, I don't want to surrender fully, which is an experience everyone should be able to have, to go to a place where you feel safe enough to fall back into someone else's arms and trust that they have your best interests in mind. And there's this like inherent distrust in everyone but Jesus that goes along with that worldview of like, no, that might be bad. I can't open myself up to being influenced by someone else because you're going to be influenced by the devil. I don't trust you, or I don't trust me. I don't trust my
well, that's
own.
what it comes down to. I don't trust me, so I trust my version of a guy who's someone told me about in a book of a thing.
Yeah.
And if all the answers are only if all the answers are in one book, then Jesus has to be the answer to everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't say this, but I tend to say this to others. And it's like, if you are so deeply connected to God, and you have a personal relationship with the Son of God, and you have all of the answers and the understandings of the metaphysics of the world, and you understand it all, then what are you depressed about?
Why is it?
Like,
why is it not working? Because I'm not good at it.
Right. Well, how do you not? I was like, well, how do you have any problems? And I even said to her, I go, because like, yeah, Jesus is great. I mean, because she wants to feel and be happy and have a life again.
Yeah.
I go, and Jesus wants you to feel and be happy and have a life again, right? And she's like, yeah. I guess she doesn't really ever think about what Jesus wants for her. And so,
if you're gonna have these metaphors in here, fucking use them.
Good. And that's the thing I say in this book, probably half a dozen times, is like, they're just metaphors. Pick better metaphors, ones that are like not about death and murder and guilt and all this stuff. Like, and it's up to us. It's our choice to pick those metaphors. And for her, man, I would never bother trying to change it. And if it's not a problem, I would never bother trying to change anybody's metaphors. But if they are problematic, and you can still keep your favorite Palestinian rebel, but also move on and do other things and do with your life. It's like,
let me tie this up with a reference to something you said, that you were like, I'm not going to talk to her about the spiritual. We're going to talk about the mental and the emotional. And Stanislav Grof, speaking of psychedelics, the basically founder of transpersonal psychology and author of psychedelic LSD psychotherapy.
Did you ever see the documentary on those guys where they were making all the orange sunshine or something like that?
I don't think so.
It's on Netflix. It's a documentary about how those guys were making millions of hits of LSD, and just like it was the purest of the pure, and it was going around. And they were really like, we are creating the sacrament. It's interesting. I'll figure out what
I got to check that out. Yeah. So he makes this distinction that I've always found really helpful, that he said there is no difference between psychological, emotional, and spiritual development, that they are all they're all the same trajectory, that becoming a more mature, healthy, actualized, integrated adult is becoming more enlightened. They are the same path. And even to a certain extent, physical, like, I think transformation, physical growth relates to all that too, because in order to break through physical barriers, you have to break through emotional barriers. You have to break through mental barriers. So it's like all levels all the time, which is a Ken Wilber kind of thing.
All the time.
So for you to be like, we're not going to work on spirituality with her, it's sort of like, well, I'm not going to use that word. Like, we don't have to call it hypnosis.
Right.
It's just guided visualization. That's all.
That's what I said. But this is also someone who has told me that she's, when I go to a yoga class, I go there to stretch. And when they start talking to me about Hinduism, I get deeply offended. I was like, well, first of all, it's a Hindu practice. Yeah. So, but like, to be deeply offended by somebody mentioning another thing is like, there's so much shadow.
How's that working out for you?
There's so much shadow and stuff. It's like, I'm not even coming close to that. I think I know what's going on there, and I'm like, okay, but I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, hopefully I can just still slap a different sticker on that monster's face, and then it can still help you. But one of the frames that I've been mentioning a lot, because I've got a lot of clients at very different levels right now. And one of the things I've been reminding myself of is like, what are you getting paid for? You're getting paid to improve the situation. You're getting paid to help them actualize their goals. And I can't make any guarantees about how
far I'm going to get somebody. But the guarantee is about wherever you are, you're going to be farther than that. We're going to improve things. But for some people, that improvement is going from here to here is not even where other people are starting. Some people are already starting further down the path.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you just send me?
I just sent you a link to the Sunshine Makers, and it's a really interesting sort of backstory on what I mean. I mean, these people were making something that was legal that then is now extremely illegal, but it was really pure, and then this and that.
Yeah.
It was just the way they were getting it around, and like with anything, Ken Kesey's never been my favorite example of a psychedelic guide, because he would just drop it in a bunch of people's drinks and then go, ha ha, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's mind rape and it's not cool.
Yeah, no, not at all. And it's not going to get the desired effect. That's why the idea of like dosing the population is like, no. People have to choose this. You have to be ready for it. And you have to say, I want this, because otherwise you will be resisting the experience and you won't get anything good out of it. And it might be seriously traumatic for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if we are not careful, this whole podcast is going to turn into a psychedelic podcast.
Well, what does psychedelic mean?
Yeah.
What is
hypnotic?
What is the
altered
phrase,
state?
Psychedelic mean?
Remind me.
Self-revealing, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what hypnosis is, anyways. And I mean, and we've talked about it before. Like, you don't need it. Like, you just need us or someone like us, but probably us, to to help you do that, to help you see, because there's so much. The people that we're talking about, the Learys, the McKennas, it's not like they were like, take some acid, man.
Right.
They were like, take some acid, get your shit together. Get connected to the universe and make your art. Get connected to the universe and make the world a better place. Get out of your own fucking way.
Yeah.
And if these chemical tools, I mean, dude, everything's a drug. I'm about to take some more of this clear, odorless, tasteless,
habit forming.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, anything can be seen as a drug. Oh, I go home and have a beer, but that's good. But I'm going to drink some whiskey just to calm down. But if I take a mushroom to help me feel connected to whatever's happening, or make me look at myself and go, what do I like, not like? And, get it, like, to me, it's all the same. And I would love, and honestly, dude, there are countries where hypnosis is illegal, right?
Yes.
For the same fucking reason.
Yeah. Because hypnosis produces psychotic behavior in people who haven't tried it.
Yeah. Actually, so here on the 399th page of my 401 page book, I say, I'm speaking about how, basically the metaphor of God wanted to control information in the Garden of Eden, and it was all about, controlling information. And I say that is the same reason why magic mushrooms are illegal. Psychedelics engender gnosis, or direct communion with the universe, and the powers that be are powerless in light of these self-revealing substances. They wake people up, they pop people out of the matrix, and among other things, they help people see that religion is the most insidious form of slavery, because it is slavery without chains. So it's really the only time I mentioned psychedelics in here, but to me, it's the same thing of like, what's, like, the fact that hypnosis could be illegal, first of all, being an atheist is also punishable by death in many countries on this planet. You know what I mean? And why is that? And the same reason, like, hypnosis, psychedelics, and atheism, even though I think we're both atheists and yet we're both deeply spiritual people. Right. But all of those things we're lucky that two of them in this country are legal, and while the atheism could still get you killed here. in
certain contexts.
Yeah. But I think, to me, that all of those things are connected, though. The psychedelics, the free thinking, and the ability to just help people be.
Well, you said
that just say your religion's stupid and retarded, or your metaphors are shit. Is to go, no, if you want them, keep them. If they work, fine, keep them out of the government and out of the schools. But, like, I don't care what you believe. I don't care if it works for you. But to be able to, I've had to respond to people like, you're just saying that you're judging on people. I'm like, no, but if if it's in the real world and they're coming at me telling me I need to believe this stuff or we need to have foreign policy like that, that's where I think the hypnosis balances out the strong feelings about religion and the, appreciation for psychedelics. They're all kind of interwoven into just.
Well, they clearly are for you and I. But you said a thing about a form of slavery with no chains. And to me, when I look, like, that's what we're trying to do here. Like, you and I both are, in a weird way, it is about freedom, but it's true freedom is freedom of thought. True freedom is freedom from your past. It's freedom from your trauma. And however you get there, great. If you get there through psychedelics, if you get there through hypnosis or NLP, if you get there through yoga or body work, if you get there through
hitting yourself in the face with a big red balloon, like in I Heart Huckabees. They're just like at the end, they're like, "Did you get it?" It's like, "Yeah, I was there for a second." Bong, bong.
Yeah,
like, I get it now.
I don't. The point is the destination, not the path. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, like, we're fine. I know people personally who have had profound healing breakthroughs in the context of a religious metaphor or a Christianity or whatever. Great, good for you. Go for it. Yeah, for most people, though, we got to be real. That's not the effect that it has for most people. It's highly limiting, which is, I think, why you wrote this book.
Yeah. Because I think I say in there also that educated, self-aware people are the enemy of both church and state.
Well, now you're getting into other forms of bondage and slavery.
Yeah.
And that being said, we've gone a long time here. We should wrap up.
All right. Well, I'm done.
Good show. That was fun. We'll maybe broach that other topic next time.
Okay. Well, all right, man. I'm glad you're doing well, feeling better, and good to see you, dude.
Excellent. Good to chat, man. I'll see you next week, and peace, love, and NLP, everybody.
Later, bud.
Later.